My fiance doesn't want me to call him daddy anymore. I feel like this could be for a kink-related episode, so I decided to share here. To start off, I know this isn't everyone's thing, that many people find it weird and gross, but don't yuck my yum, y'all. Not safe for work. My fiance, 27 male, and I, 26 female, met about 3 years ago, and early in on our relationship, I was very open about being into soft DDLG. So, as she said, she's very open about being into the DDLG dynamic. I say soft because I'm not into the age play or anything. Again, if that's your yum, good for you. But I just like being called a good girl and being owned / the power dynamic of it. While it was something that was new to him, he embraced it in many aspects of our lives since we moved in together pretty quickly. To give you an idea, it was stuff like him holding my face and asking, in quotes, "Are you going to be a good girl?" and do the dishes, get him water, turn off the lights, change my attitude, etc. And I'd reply, "Yes, daddy." Or he'd ask me, "What are you going to be?" And I'd reply, "You're a good girl." Other times, if I really wanted something, I could give him the cute face and say, "Please, daddy," and he'd oblige. Or when he could tell I had a rough day, he'd say, "Come here, good girl," and scoop me up into his lap, and I'd just melt into him, and it would fix everything. All to say, it was a pretty big part of our relationship, sexually and otherwise. You could say it's a 24/7 kink, but calling him daddy became interchangeable for baby. But this last month, after a lot of turmoil, which included the stress of moving across the state, letting my temper get the best of me, he wasn't blameless in this, I'm just owning my part, and almost breaking up. I went to call him daddy, and he very coldly said, "I don't want you to call me that anymore." And when I pressed a little harder, he said, "It just doesn't feel right. It's not our dynamic anymore," which honestly hurt a lot. Our sweet thing, something that brought us a lot of connection, is done. On top of that, the wedge that our rough patch created between us. We haven't really been intimate for the past month or so, except for once last week, despite my attempts, and when we were, it kept slipping out. Every time I'd get in my head like, in quotes, "No, don't do that. He doesn't like that. Stop it. Think of another name. Baby. Just say baby." And I'd take myself out of feeling good, which made me realize that this might go beyond a want for me. I can't imagine doing it without it. It was very lackluster. I took the move and the new year as an opportunity to change a lot of habits, including starting therapy, which he has said he would join me for, but had no desire to go to couples therapy or to his own therapist. We have done premarital counseling, which I highly recommend, by the way, but we didn't get very far into it between our very different schedules and then having to move suddenly. I'm hoping the desire to interact in that way will come back as we get better, but it just hurts, as silly as that sounds. Any advice? Have you gone through something similar? How did it go? I think you'll find this edit interesting. Edit, since everyone is curious what made me lose my cool. When we found out we needed to move, I wasn't given a date for when we were moving. My fiance just kept telling me mid-December. After several weeks of checking in for a better timeline, I decided on a day at the end of my work quarter for my notice and the easiest transition out, giving my job 3 weeks to hire someone and have me train them. When my fiance went to our new location to scout out and land a job, he got back, put in his 2 weeks notice, and told me we were moving XYZ day, which was a few days before my last day. So I told him that wouldn't work. He stopped showing up to work after a week and tried to have me stop showing up for work also, to pack / move up our move date. But I felt that it was a bad decision because I hadn't gotten a job yet and it showed lack of integrity. On top of this, his version of packing was very different from my own, which caused us a lot of stress during the weeks leading up to the move. He'd pack things that we needed on a daily basis. I'd say something like, "Let's leave the artwork on the walls till the end because it's big and delicate." The next day, it would be down and I'd be scolded for leaning other artwork against the larger ones, dimpling the canvas. And I was constantly being told that I wasn't doing enough, being generally belittled, told things like that I didn't matter to my job, that I'm not important.
Come on.
It was death by 1,000 cuts. So when I came home one day to find a bunch of stuff that he, in quotes, didn't know what it was, which it was gifts for people that I collect slowly for Christmas, and they were all thrown away by the dumpster. Yeah. And other trash bags full of other things like my Bibles, journals, and shoes inside the door, I was upset. When I confronted him, he said, in quotes, "Well, you weren't here to pack. So if you wanted it, you should have packed." So he was offering digging through garbage for my stuff as a solution, which, of course, he wasn't going to help. So I lost it. I cried and I called him names. I threw my Bible at him since he might need to read it, being Christian and acting the way he was. And of course, I was overreacting, but it deeply hurt me and my faith. She continues, "So yeah, I acknowledge that I may have a bit of a temper that went unchecked with added stress and that I could work on my communication / attachment style, and I got myself into therapy. I can see that I'm better for it. Who wants to get that way? Not me.
So a year ago today, I was 28 and I was just moving out of mum and dad's house for the first time into my own place. And I'd been single for a couple of years, and my mum was saying, like, Sarah, you know, you actually have to start going out somewhere, like putting yourself out there, trying to meet people, because if you want to find someone, like, no one's going to come to your door and knock on the door and be like, hi, Sarah, I want to be your boyfriend. Like, you've actually got to leave the house. And I was like, oh. Anyway, so I was moving out into my own place, and I needed to like find a housemate so that I could like help pay for the place. And also I was like too scared to actually sleep there by myself. So I listed for a housemate, and I said women only. Like I wanted a girl like my age that we could hang out, work full time, but like nobody suitable applied. Anyway, then eventually this guy applied, and he's like, look, I know you said women only, but I just thought I'd, you know, put it out there. And I was like, oh, okay, like what the hell, come and meet and like see the place. And from the second he arrived, like the second I saw him, I just got this vibe where I'm like, he is a sweetie. Like he took his shoes off at the front door. He was like, hi Sarah, nice to meet you. Like he was complimenting the house. He was a darling. And he was like, oh, so what would you want to do about like plates and stuff? Like I could use yours, or I could bring my own, or I could buy the same that you have so that they will match. Like he was like just like a darling. So I was like, okay, like part of me was like, like I don't want to live with a boy, but then the other part of me just knew, I don't know, I just like felt like he was going to be good. So 2 weeks later he moved in, and I moved in on the same day. Like I didn't want to say like I actually haven't stayed here a single time by myself. I'm like waiting for you to move in. So his first day living in the house was like my first day living in the house. And he had offered to like mow the lawns and do the garden work, and it was like a mess. So I was like, oh, okay. And he hated cooking. So I was like, well, when you mow the lawns, I'll cook dinner. And so it just like, we didn't have any other housemates, so it didn't have a share house vibe. I felt like he was my husband because he'd come home from work and he'd be like mowing the lawns, and I'd be in the kitchen. I'd be like, hi, like cooking his dinner. Don't know him. He's a stranger. And then he'd come in and we'd like sit on the lounge side by side and eat dinner, and he'd be like, oh, this is lovely, thank you. I'd be like, oh, no worries. Like it was so weird because I'm like, this is a stranger, but like we're doing all these like domestic stuff together as if we're like a couple. Anyway, probably from like the first or second night, like we just like hit it off. We stayed up till midnight, like chatting every night. One night I was like, oh, I'll just like give him his space and I'll go to my room and just like, you know, so he doesn't feel like he has to chat. Knock, knock, knock. Hey Sarah, would you like an ice cream? Do you want me to go get us some ice cream? I was like, oh. So anyway, 2-3 weeks went past, and then he was basically like, I like you. Like, and I was like, yeah, I like you too. So then it was like, do you want to be my boyfriend? It was like, I would love to be your boyfriend. And a year later, we've spent like every single day together since. So there you go, Mum. I did not have to leave my house. Someone did come to my door and basically asked to date me.
Time I almost fought my brother's ex. My brother met this girl through a mutual friend, and honestly when he told me that he was talking to a girl, I honestly was so happy for him, and I was so excited because growing up I grew up with guys my entire life, so I was just so happy, other than my cousins and my girlfriends, to just have another girl in the circle, you know. I don't recall the day her and I officially met. All I do remember is just telling my brother, oh, she's really quiet, she seems pretty nice, but I can't really say much because I don't know her. So fast forward, they've been dating for months now, and I really don't know much about this girl. And obviously if my brother's dating a girl, I just want to know what she's about. What's her intentions? I just want to know. I remember one day I was like, oh, I just want to do my own research. So I went on Instagram trying to find her, and I just could not find her username. And so I went to one of my best friends and I was like, hey, can you search this username and tell me if it pops up? And she says, yes, I can see the account. And I was like, how am I already blocked? And I discovered that I was blocked on Instagram. My alerts were on high because I was like, yo, I don't even know you. You don't know me. And I'm already blocked. That's a red flag. I ended up keeping that information to myself because one thing about me is I'm not about to interfere in anybody's relationship. That is just not me. Let's call this girl Jackie. So Jackie and my brother one day came to the house, and I was in my room, so I didn't even know she was here. I guess that day they were just extra quiet or something. I remember I went downstairs, and usually I know that she is here when my brother's door is closed. I remember once she left, my brother comes up to me and he goes, you're effed up. And I was like, why? And she was like, oh, well, Jasmine is saying that it's fucked up how you don't come downstairs to come and say hi to her. And I was like, excuse me? First of all, this is my house. You're coming into my house. You're the one that's supposed to say hi. And two, I'm not going to look through my window and be like, oh my God, is Jasmine here? Is she coming? Let me go say hi. What? Because half the time he went to go pick her up. Like, her car was really never here. So at this point, I'm getting pressed because I didn't go say hi to a visitor who came into my home. Yo no me dejé because honestly, I just knew that I wasn't in the wrong. Like, I would understand if like I came to your house and I didn't say hi. That's rude. But you're coming into my house, like, you're supposed to say hi. You're the guest. At this point, I was extremely upset, but I'm not a confrontational person. I don't like drama. I don't like any of that. So I kind of just kept my cool, but if anything, I was just resolving this issue with my brother because that's my brother, and I didn't really care about his girl like that because I don't know you. So I basically had a conversation with my brother, and I told him, I was like, I just find it weird how she has me blocked on social media and she doesn't even know who I am. And why would I be blocked? Like, I just have questions. To this day, I don't know the reason, but I remember my brother was like, oh, I grabbed her phone and I blocked you from her account. And I was like, yo, what? At this point, you're taking her side? Holy shit. At this point, I was extremely upset because like there's absolutely no way I'm about to lose my brother to this freaking girl. There's no way, because at this point there was just so many bad things about her that I was not allowed to let my brother, who's so sweet and loving, deal with this girl. There's absolutely no way. My brother also ends up telling me how this girl is intimidated by me. And I honestly had absolutely no idea why, because I never really spoke to her. Yes, I have a resting bitch face, but I am the sweetest person you'll ever meet. So once I found that information out, I knew right away that I had to fight for my brother because he is my brother. He's my best friend. I love him with all my heart, and I do not want to see him hurt because there's this girl controlling him and telling him to do certain things, especially towards me. Like, I'm your sister. As days go on, I just continue to find out more information about her, and it's not good information, and I just knew that I needed to get my brother away from this girl. Tell me why. I came across this message that she sent to my brother and said, you either have to choose between me or your sister. And I was like, this bitch got me so fucked. I know you are not about to make my brother choose between his own sister and you. When I seen that text message, that was the icing on the cake. That was it for me. And the first thing that came to mind was, I'm gonna fight this girl when I see her. So I told my brother, I was like, next time she comes and she's in front of my face, I'm gonna either confront her, I'm gonna fight her. I'm not even joking at this point. At this point, I'm assuming my brother tells her what I said. And I remember she stopped coming over for months. It was for months, maybe even a year. And if she was at the house, it's when I wasn't at the house. So at this point, she was just trying to avoid all form of contact with me because one, she was paranoid, and I apparently intimidated her. This girl was nowhere to be found anymore. My brother and her broke up, so I never got the chance to confront her or fight her. So now I have a new sister-in-law, and I adore her so much, and I am just so grateful that I fought for my brother because this new girl is, I love her so much, and I don't see it with anybody else.
How I found out my ex was cheating on me with a guy. I was in university at the time and I was 21. My boyfriend had moved over from Belfast to come and live with me just for a little bit while he was finding himself a job and was getting himself set up over here. He was quite a bit older than me. He was 28 at the time, which really I probably should have seen as the first red flag, but at that age you just kind of think, oh yay, an older guy, they'll be mature. The story in which I met him is a bit crazy in itself because someone was trying to catfish me using his photos. So you can imagine when I started speaking to the actual guy, I was over the moon. Back in Belfast, he was a professional bodybuilder. So as you can imagine, tan, teeth, tats, and very built, like a very macho kind of looking man. So for context, when we got together, he told me he did OnlyFans, but it wasn't anything explicit. It was quite literally just the poses that bodybuilders typically do on stage. Now I told him because that's all it was, it didn't bother me. I just wanted to have nothing to do with it at all. And if that's what he needed to do to pay the bills in the past, then so be it. So after he's lived with me for a while, he gets a job at the local gym as a PT. Shock, because he's a bodybuilder, right? And one day he starts expressing to me how he needs to find a decent sports masseuse because he's getting quite a lot of knots in his back. As someone who also trains regularly at the gym, I was like, great, if you find one, let me know, because I probably need to go and see one too. So one day he goes to a sports masseuse and tells me that he got really weird vibes from the guy because he offered to give him a ride home and started complimenting him a little bit too much. He said it made him feel so weird that he wasn't going to go to him again and that I should absolutely not ever go to see this guy. I thought that's all the situation was, but later I found out it was not. Now, for context, in a relationship, I am the kind of girl that will let you have passwords to all of my things because I'm completely transparent and have nothing to hide. Now, I was trying to get into YouTube even back then, so I had editing software on my laptop. And my ex knew that and would sometimes use it for his own videos for his PTing. On one very unsuspecting day, I go into the library at my university to meet up with my group that I'm working on a project with. I'd created a whole presentation and ideas to share with the group, so I went to open up my laptop and then I found a file on the desktop that I didn't recognize. The file name had no indication as to what the video could possibly be. It was labeled as Final Edit. So me being curious while everyone was still talking and getting ready to present, I clicked on it. And what do I find? A video of my boyfriend at the time and the sports masseuse he told me was weird, giving him quite the happy ending. And from the looks of the video, things did not stop there. Now, as you can imagine, I'm absolutely mortified because I've just opened this in front of a group of people on my course. There is nothing in this world that will ever prepare you for finding out that your boyfriend has been continuously lying to your face, is actually bi, and had the audacity to video it, edit it on my own laptop, and post it to OnlyFans. And the worst part is the volume was all the way up, and the entire library just heard the moans of my current boyfriend getting a dildo up his arse. You might be thinking, Chloe, this can't possibly get any worse. No, it does. I then got tested, effective immediately.
This is not a drill. I just found out that my ex lives directly across from me in the brand new apartment building that I just moved into. I just moved across the country. He lives directly 5 feet. It's a small New York City apartment building. There's only 6 other doors on this floor. He lives directly in breathing distance. He can hear this conversation. My kitchen is 2 steps away, and that's my front door. Also, his front door. We're basically living together. We're basically dating. Let me tell you a little story time of how I even figured this out, right? I thought I saw him in the hallway, but I was like, no, faded those memories, got rid of them, so I barely even remember his face, right? I'm like, who is that guy to me? But it looked familiar. I'm like, I don't know. I saw him with a girl. He had a hoodie on, so I was like, I'm just gonna go upstairs, get a snack, right? Obviously, the first thing I do when I get home, I have to rush upstairs, sit on my kitchen floor, and eat a snack because that's my favorite activity, obviously. And so I forgot about it. And then I was looking at packages the other day, and I saw his name. A very, very specific, I've never met anyone that had a name remotely similar to his on his package. And I was like, well, that's fun, exciting, silly, romantic, a novel. And basically, I obviously had to check his apartment number as I do, right? And I'm typically looking at other names to see maybe this person's name sounds cute or something. And I'll look them up on Instagram and knock on the door and be like, hi, I need some eggs. I'm actually making homemade banana bread muffins. Would you like one? Do you want to come over? But basically, getting back to my story is I saw his apartment number and I was like, that sounds quite familiar. Why do I know? Oh my God, I see that number every day. Oh my God, that's the number directly across from me. Oh my God, he can hear this conversation right now. And when I have my concerts every single day, screaming emo music because that is my therapy. So yeah, I guess he's gonna be my new buddy. Maybe if I ever need anything, I'll go knock on his door and be like, hi, just want to let you know I'm here. Good to see you, pal.
I, 28 female, lost weight, and now I want to divorce my husband, 29 male. We've been married for 5 years and together for 7. We also have a 3-year-old kid. After having the baby, I struggled a lot with losing the baby weight and adjusting to being a parent. I also had the baby blues at first, which was tough. I wasn't really focused on my appearance, and instead I was trying to figure out our new routine and way of life. But then my husband started making these little comments about my body and how I should start working out and wearing makeup again. It made me feel really awful, and I worried that he might start looking elsewhere because we weren't being intimate anymore. He even suggested hiring a nanny so I could have more time for myself, but I wanted to be there for our baby full time, so I turned down the offer. That made him angry, and he started acting cold towards me. Months went by without any hugs, kisses, romance, or any kind of affection. My self-esteem hit rock bottom. Every time I looked in the mirror, all I saw were the flaws that my husband pointed out. By this point, our son was already 2 years old, and I desperately wanted to win my husband back. I thought if I got into shape again, he would show me love and affection, and our marriage would be saved. I craved his attention so much, and it hurt to see how much things have changed. But you can't force someone to be affectionate. I took matters into my own hands and hired some help. With more free time, I started going to the gym, taking swim classes, getting my hair and lashes done regularly, and eating healthier. And guess what? I've lost a ton of weight, and I feel amazing. Suddenly, my husband started touching me, kissing me, buying me flowers, and treating me like the complete opposite of how he treated me before. You'd think that would make me feel better, but for some reason, it made me feel worse. All I could think about were the hurtful things he said to me when I was at my lowest and how cold he was towards me. I get that you can't force attraction, but why couldn't he just hug me or give me a kiss on the cheek even when I was overweight? Why couldn't he love me as a human being and the mother of his child? When my self-esteem came back, I got really angry at myself for putting up with this behavior for so long. A few days ago, I told him I wanted a divorce because I don't think I can move past how badly he treated me. He apologized and promised to change and prove that he can be better. But honestly, I'm not sure if I can trust him again. What if I gain weight again or have to deal with health issues? Will he treat me like garbage again? I've talked to some friends and family about the whole situation, and some say I should give him another chance, while others say I should leave him. Am I being justified in being upset over this? Do you think it's possible for my husband to change his behavior for the long term, or is a divorce the right move here?
Did you experience high school love? No. I didn't experience actual love until college. Now let me tell you why. First, I wasn't idealistic, meaning I believed in true love. Okay, the reason why is because I watched a lot of shoujo, which is like them love animes, which show you like the girl always gets the guy's always so nice. You know, I was like, I'm gonna be that man. Anyway, the girls I liked too in high school weren't all that great. Like, if they were pretty, their personalities weren't the greatest. Anyway, I actually asked a girl out 3 times. 3 times. Okay? Now, after, first she said no, I see you as a friend. So I was like, okay, let's be friends. Right? Right. And then, after a month of hanging out with her, I was like, yo, you want to try to date? I said, you want to try going out? And she goes, no, not really. Like, I still see you as a friend. I was like, damn. And then, like, after getting shot down twice, I was like, bro, this is like a joke now. Like, it's not even hard to tell her. So I was like, oh, I like you. And then I thought she was gonna say, oh, I still don't like you. No, she said, okay, let's give it a try. Bro, I was shook, okay? But that's not my first relationship. Let me tell you why. One, bro, I was shook. I couldn't even hold her hand, bro. I saw her hand, man, I couldn't even touch it. If we, like, touched, bro, I would freeze for like at least 5 minutes. Okay, so that was one thing. Second thing was, she didn't have the greatest personality, and I didn't know that because I was, just attracted to her. I liked her. My friends were like, oh, she's kind of, anyway, she's kind of the B word, not a good personality, and she a H. My friend said that in high school, and I was like, no way she's a H. And I was like, no, she is. I was like, there's no way. Anyway, after a week of hanging out, she was like, oh, Ryan, I don't think this is going to work. And I was like, oh, why not? And she was like, I'm not looking for a relationship. Let me tell you, the next day, she was holding hands with another man's. I was shook. Is that considered cheating? No, that's not considered cheating. But, because she, told me she didn't want that. But she could have just said, I don't like you, bro. She didn't have to say, oh, I'm not ready for a relationship. And then finding out that she's holding hands with another man's in the hallways. I was shook. I was like, nah, no girls. Anyway, so, yeah. After that, I didn't like any girls. Like, if I thought a girl was cute, I thought she was cute. But I would not make no moves, okay? I was like, no, I'm done, okay?
stories about some of my funny / embarrassing / cringe dating moments. Let's start with embarrassing. This happened years ago already, but up until this very day, whenever I remember it, I still cringe. Parang gusto ko kainin na lang ako ng lupa. So there's this guy. He's like 12 years older than I am. He was trying to go for me, ganyan. He would text me every day. This guy is a lawyer. Like, he's very successful, stable, and he's also very good looking. At the time, he was already in his late 30s and I was in my 20s. Me being young and naive, I had a huge crush on him. But at the same time, I was also very intimidated by him. At the time, I was still starting out with my career, still learning about life and adulthood. Being young like that, I felt like I needed to prove something. I want to impress him. Pero syempre, hindi ko pinapahalata that I was trying to impress him too. I was acting cool. He would use really big words on me that sometimes I don't even understand what he's saying. This is how nene I was, given that I know he uses a lot of big words. Syempre, ayaw kong patalo. As a Scorpio, competitive tayo. Obviously, sobrang people pleaser pa ako noon, but now not anymore. Whenever we would have conversations through text, I make sure that I also use big words on him. Sobrang pretentious, nakakainis. Girl, ang pretentious mo. But ayun na nga, ang haba na ng story ko. Yung embarrassing na nangyari was, we were chatting through text, right? Parang nagiging flirty na yung conversation. And then bigla he asked me, what are you doing on Thursday? Let's play hooky. So si tanga, hindi ko alam yung ibig sabihin ng let's play hooky at the time. Verbatim, he said, let's play hooky and go day drinking. I literally thought that he was inviting me to play like a literal game. So I responded na super flirty pa yung tone. Hooky? Question mark. Wing? Yeah, sure. I'm up for anything. It would have been best if I just ended it with that sentence and sent the message. But no. I followed up with, although I haven't played hooky before, what are the mechanics of playing hooky? Is it a board game or a card game? Pag naalala ko talaga, sobrang gusto kong kainin na lang ako ng lupa. So later on, I found out playing hooky pala means like just skipping work, basically. Skip work to have fun, skip work to go drinking. That's basically what he meant. Not play a board game or a card game. My God. I'm sure he was so confused. He said, what do you mean? We just go play hooky and have fun. But I already know he was thinking, how stupid is this girl? I immediately searched what playing hooky means. So yun nga yung meaning nga, nalaman ko na, and yun, gusto ko lang kainin na ako ng lupa. I was so embarrassed, I just stopped talking to him. That's my embarrassing nene story number 1. The next one naman, it was in my hometown in Pampanga. So my friends and I had this gathering. It was in a resort, basta in Clark area in Pampanga. During that party, there was this guy. My friends were trying to pair us up. I think I was 24 at the time. Grabe talaga yung early 20s ko. I did a lot of dumb shit. The night went well. The guy and I basically spoke the whole night. So when the party ended, like everyone was going home now, the guy asked me if I'm okay to drive. Because I had my car with me that night. I drove myself there. Me being always pasikat and pa-miss independent when I was in my early 20s. Why was I like that? When I was in my early 20s, I always felt like I needed to prove something to people. Why? Anyway, I told him, yeah, I'm okay, I can drive. He said, okay, but can I convoy you? And he was also with his other guy friends as well. Can we convoy you just to make sure I get to the main road safely? So nung nasa road na kami, magkasabay yung car. So me, being so pasikat, I don't know, why was I like that? When I was driving before, I always like showing people that I'm such a fast driver. Oh my God, Rasha, why? Magkasabay yung car namin. Gusto ko lang pakita na mas mabilis ako mag-drive. So I really floored the pedal. And I think he got worried because he was trying to keep up. Pagdating sa stoplight, bigla, he went down his car. And then he went to my car. He said, you want me to drive na lang? I said, no, I'm fine. I can drive. He said, okay, but don't drive too fast. I was like, no, this is just the way I drive. After that, he asked me, do you know the way to the main road? At the time, it was actually years since the last time I went to Pampanga. I really thought I still remember the way to the main road. Syempre, I told him, yeah, of course I know the way. He goes, okay. He let me be na. When the stoplight turned green, ayun na naman, nagmabilis na naman ako mag-drive. I was in front of them na. They were right behind me watching me go. To get to the main road, you should turn right somewhere. I saw this right turn that looked super familiar, but I started questioning myself. Tama ba to? Ito ba yung right? But since I was driving so fast, I didn't have much time to think anymore and I just turned right. So I saw them behind me. He was honking his horn. So nung bumubusina siya, akala ko parang wala lang, bye, ganun. I thought they were also gonna turn right, but they went straight ahead. So naisip ko, okay, baka iba yung main road ng bahay niya. niya. I just kept driving, and to my surprise, you guys know the red light district in Clark, Pampanga? That's where I ended up. I literally turned right to the red light district. That guy and all of his friends saw me turn right to the red light district. Siguro sabi nila, di ba siya uuwi? Bakit siya pupunta sa red light district? Yung problema pa, one way lang siya. I wasn't familiar with the place. I didn't know where to make a U-turn. The road was filled with dirty old men and strippers. Ang sikip pa ng daan and traffic niya. At that time, hindi pa uso yung Waze. I really didn't know what to do except for ask a stranger where I can make a U-turn to go to the main road so I can go home. I ended up asking this random girl, and I'm pretty sure she was a stripper. She was so kind to accommodate me during her busy night. As in, she really guided me where to go para makauwi na. But I can see like the look in her eyes. She was so surprised, like, what is this girl doing here? When I got home, I got a text from the guy, but I was so embarrassed. I didn't reply to him. Grabe, ang hilig ko rin pala mang ghost in my early 20s.